Hey, Christian. So I understand Vodia is reaching their 10-year anniversary. It's a pretty significant thing. Can you,
That's correct.
yeah, can you kind of go through like the evolution of Vodia and kind of where we've been and potentially where we're going?
Yeah, so it actually started longer than 10 years ago. It started in 2005
Wow.
under a different name. It was called PBX and SIP. PBX for PBX, N for in and SIP for the session initiation protocol. So at that time, we saw simply, I mean, we clearly saw the cloud already, and there was simply no product available that was on the one hand ready for the cloud, but not carrier grade. There was already like Broadsoft, and there was a company called Cilantro,
Mm,
which was acquired by Broadsoft. But these were really like big deployments, and there was nothing for let's say, a small MSP that would be able to run a PBX in the cloud. And that was the original goal to write software that can be used by those people.
perfect. And do you think we've kind of, in that time frame reached those goals?
So, as well, timing is everything. That's what they say. And we were a little bit early for the whole topic. I mean, at that time, people were struggling, like cannot transfer call. There were actually really basic problems for the SIP protocol, and we may be a little bit too much ahead of the time. So it was a little bit dilly-daddling for a couple of years, and we were honestly a little bit frustrated about the lack of market visibility. So we said, okay, we'll move it to SNOM. And you have to see, at that time, most of the phone systems were sold in one bundle. And to a certain degree, the big companies are still doing it today. But at that time, I would say 99% of the sales came from closed systems. And we just wanted to have a piece of that pie. We're saying, okay, we're selling the phone system along with the phones as one system that just works, and there's no interoperability issue in that whatsoever. So that was the motivation to put it to SNOM. We call it SNOM 1. So the product name changed at that point. Yeah, and timing is everything. And that was actually the time when interoperability did take off. So, and especially
Okay.
the partners of SNOM were not really super excited about that. So they say, hey, now you're competing with us. At the same time, want to
Mm.
cooperate with us. And so it didn't take long. And we say, okay, let's spun it off again. But at this
Take
time,
the
we didn't
snom
want to go.
main out of it.
Right. So, but we didn't want to use that PBX and SIP name because a little bit unfortunate. Nobody, I mean, everybody is like, how do you spell that? Right. So it was a kind of really hard name. So we pick a different name, called it Vodia. And that was 10 years ago. So to kind of reposition it back in the market and back to interoperability. So at that point, not really SNOM, actually interoperability with pretty much all the mainstream phone models in the market, phone vendors. And at that time, also, the cloud was becoming a reality. That means we shifted also really what we originally wanted to do, go more into the cloud space, not so much CPE. And so that's 10 years ago, and that's what we've been doing over the last 10 years now.
I feel like you said, the timing's everything, and at least at this time, I feel everybody gets the cloud. I mean, whether it's something the working from home in the pandemic that got them to do that, or just people willing to go into the cloud. Because I know I've been in this business a while, and talking to those resellers and all who would sell that one package, that premises equipment, were very hesitant, and not because they didn't know phone systems, because they weren't sure about the cloud yet. I think we're at a stage right now, and I think you would agree that the cloud is
Right.
accepted. People are adopting
So
it.
the pandemic, I mean, we tried for years to tell people, you can work from home, you can work from the lake, from the hotel, from your car, everything. So we tried for years and years and years to kind of promote it. Again, it's like, I mean, it takes a long time to educate people, obviously. And then the pandemic came, and then suddenly there was this boom from one day to another. Everybody had to work from home, right? And
Exactly.
so that definitely gave us a big push. So, and interoperability wise, interestingly, it wasn't about VoIP phone. Now it was about the browser. So people saying, I I do not even want to use it so often. Actually, I want to close the browser at the end of the day, right, when the work is done. That's essentially the number one feature of the
Right.
browser. So you can be really sure nobody's going to call you, right? And
That's good.
so that was like from one day to another, we suddenly had to deliver that. And yeah, so luckily we were ready with WebRTC, so we could deliver that. And yeah, so over the last 2 years, I would say it was more and more about apps and browser, and then putting essentially browser into the app, and of course, a
Exactly.
lot of fine tuning there. And
Closing the browser doesn't necessarily stop you from getting calls anymore because of the apps, which, I think is necessary. Everybody's working with apps every day. So have to have an app.
right. So I think clearly the lesson is that the user acceptance plays a very big role for work from home, because nobody wants to get into this 24/7 role. It's the work-life balance. And we need to do whatever we can do to make sure that people are not getting disturbed outside of the core working hours. So we have like a service flag that can set up and saying, what are the working hours? And then outside of those working hours, we're not calling the mobile devices. However, if you're logged into the browser, that might be a different story. Or if you're on a desktop web phone, maybe you're doing a little bit, you're doing a little bit overtime in the evening, whatever, right? You're staying long in the office. It would be kind of weird if the phone doesn't ring. So these kind of little fine-tuning things, I think that's making a difference for the overall acceptance of the PBX. Yeah.
Even going back to the basics, I know, personally, I do this. Good old do not disturb. I mean, you can put yourself in do not disturb, and then, for the rest of the day, you're not going to get the mobile app calls, and you're not going to obviously get the desktop or browser calls because that's closed. So,
right. So and then you have to make sure that the do not disturb is for the next century. So eventually it has to time out, whatever, maybe at the end of the day, or after an hour or 2 hours. I think we all know that from the do not disturb from the cell phones these days, right? They have that, of course. Why doesn't the PBX have it? So these are the little fine-tuning things that, we need these days. And I think that's what's clearly heading. Yeah.
Sounds good. Would you like to discuss any future things that Vodia has in mind? I mean,
yeah, the past, the present, and the future, right?
Yeah, so, might as well go there.
Yeah, no really big surprises. So clearly, the apps are not going away anytime soon. So I think we're going to see over the years more and more percentage of apps. And I mean, but on the other hand, people definitely do want a good old PBX functionality, right? So it is a business tool that, despite all the texting and all the other stuff, it's not going away anytime soon. People simply want to call a company or a support department. They don't want to call a specific person. And they want to do that from their cell phone, and they don't want to do it from an app that they have to install first. So this is clearly something we're going to see for many, many years to come. However, they want to have that transformed into modern technology. And I think that's clearly what we're working on and where this is all heading anyway. So that
makes sense. What they're doing personally, they can do in business. I mean, like you said, people are on their cell phones, they're on apps, so they know how to work with that. So why not work with that in the business as well? But then there are still going to be the few that they want that desk phone, they want things to be just like they were, and that's fine too.
Right.
Being able to support both of those is really, I think, the key.
Exactly. So we can deliver the best of both worlds. So people can pick what they like the most. So some people just want to have a desktop phone in the office and they want to have nothing at home, right? And others saying, no, I want it only on my mobile phone, wherever I am. I want to be able to connect to the PBX. So, and we can deliver this in the same organization. And I think that's a beautiful path into the future. So everybody can do their own timing. We're not forcing anyone.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks for the information.
Yep.
All right.
Bye-bye.